Hello everyone, very warm welcome to our channel and very warm welcome for the score examination. So this is Dr. Anisha from CHaitanya Educational Institution. Welcome you all for our another session of zoology lecture. So for today's session we are going to see the mock test. That is all the questions that we are going to deal with for our score examination. So my dear students, as you all know, the score is going to really become very helpful for your NEET preparation. And how is that even possible? That is possible because the score examination is just the exact replica of the actual NEET exam. Alright? So yes, my dear students, be ready for the exact replica of the NEET examination. Before the NEET you are going to attend, just before that you are getting prepared how to prepare yourself for the actual examination, as the score examination is the biggest and the most prestigious talent search examination in entire country. This is a never to miss examination. So have you registered for it? If not, then rush and register for it right now. So for this examination, what all questions are being predicted, we are going to deal with it right now. And about this subject zoology, yes, this is one of your favorite subject, I know that all. And for all the NEET aspirants, this is a very important part. This is a very important topic we are going to discuss today. So the score has selected some of the most important questions that we are going to discuss. Some of the previous year's questions we are going to deal, and along with that we are going to discuss how to solve them, how to crack the score examination with maximum effort, as well as you can get the best scholarship out of this examination. And least not but the last, so that is how are you going to score the best for the NEET examination if you attend and score very well for the score exam. So let's start with it. We are going to start with the various years questions that we have already discussed, that we have already attended for previous score examinations. So for that, we are going to discuss what all topics. So first of all, today we are going to discuss the mistakes we usually make while answering the questions, the important questions to remember, how to plan for these examinations and the topics, and the study hacks, how to remember these questions, how to remember these specific topics, and how score is going to enhance your performance during the NEET exam. Alright? So, what all will be discussed today? We are going to discuss the previous year's questions today, problems faced during the actual NEET exam, because many of the questions you will see, maybe you know the question, but the problem is you may have forgotten about it, or maybe it is just not clicking it at the right point. But the practice makes it perfect. So yes, we are going to do it. We are going to practice how to solve these problems. If you are unaware of some of the concepts, definitely score is going to give you an upper hand to solve them. How the score is going to improve the NEET score, definitely the practice makes it perfect, as well as if you learn day by day, definitely score is going to be very helpful for you. So now let's move on. So let's move on to the score examination patterns. First of all, various subjects are there, various topics are there, but score has selected some of the important topics that are going to be important for the score examination. Now, going to be the first question, that is, in a person suffering from emphysema, respiratory surface, what happens to the respiratory surface to the person suffering from emphysema? Do you know it all? Yes. So what is it? It decreases since alveolar walls are damaged, increases since alveoli becomes larger, decreases due to inflammation of the bronchi, and it increases due to an increase in the number of alveoli. So what exactly is going to happen to the person's lungs who is suffering from emphysema? So basically students, emphysema is actually a disease of respiratory system which occurs due to chronic cigarette smoking. As we all know, cigarette smoking is very injurious. So the cigarette smoking causes the emphysema, in which the alveoli fuse together to form a larger surface area, And because of this larger surface area, the gaseous exchange becomes the very amount in which we are going to see that the disruption of the gaseous exchange occurs. So what happens? Decreases since alveolar walls are damaged, increases what happens to the respiratory surface. So respiratory surface, in that what is exactly happening? In case of respiratory surfaces, since the alveoli, 2-3 alveoli, suppose they are getting fused to form a single alveoli. If they are multiples in number, the respiratory surfaces are more. But when they fuse together, the respiratory surface area for gaseous exchange decreases. And when the surface area for gaseous exchange decreases, definitely the efficiency of gaseous exchange also decreases. So it decreases since alveolar walls are damaged. Definitely this is going to be the answer. So alveolar walls are getting damaged, as a result of which the respiratory surface decreases. Since it does not increase, since it does not decrease due to inflammation of the bronchi, or it does not increase at all, so the answer is going to be the first one. The surface area, respiratory surface area decreases due to alveolar walls are damaged and they fuse together to form a single structure. So now next we are going to another topic, another one. Next question, which of the following is true about the heart of amphibians? Heart of amphibians, as we all know, they are three-chambered heart. So since they are three-chambered heart, there is 2 atria and 1 ventricle present, right and left atria, and there is ventricle present. So what all options they have given? Right ventricle pumps the deoxygenated blood and left ventricle pumps the oxygenated blood. Another option, there is single ventricle which pumps mixed blood, and the left atrium receives deoxygenated blood from various body parts, right atrium receives oxygenated. Let's make a diagram, a rough diagram for this. So suppose this is the structure of the frog's three-chambered heart. All of you must be knowing it. So the heart of amphibian, which is three-chambered, the right atrium, the left atrium and the ventricle. So now let's see the movement of blood. Suppose the deoxygenated blood is this blue color entering through the right atrium into the ventricles. Another is the blood, oxygenated blood is entering through the left atria again into the ventricle. Now what is happening in the ventricle? In the ventricle, the blood is getting all mixed. All the deoxygenated and oxygenated blood is getting mixed in the ventricle, and from the ventricle, now this blood will be moving out of the heart. So when the blood is moving out of the heart, how the blood is moving out of the heart? It is moving out through the structure called as conus arteriosus. So in case of frog's heart, if we have to answer, in case of frog's heart, right ventricle pumps deoxygenated blood? Absolutely not. It is absolutely right. So right ventricle pumps deoxygenated blood, but there is no separation of the ventricle present. So this option does not stand correct. The left atrium receives deoxygenated blood. Again, it is incorrect, as left atrium is receiving the blood which is oxygenated. Right atrium receives oxygenated blood from the lungs. Even this is also incorrect. So the correct answer is, there is a single ventricle which pumps the mixed blood. So here it is, the mixed blood is going out through the ventricle, and from the ventricle initially it goes to the conus arteriosus and then to the rest of the body parts. I hope this is clear to you all. Now, as we all know, SCORE is the biggest scholarship examination in the entire country, as this gives you a very good opportunity to prepare for the actual NEET examination. And if you get a chance, if you get the maximum scholarship, if you get the maximum benefit, the best of the faculty members are here for your preparation, for help you or to guide you to get the best result in your NEET examination. So yes, my dear students, if you have not registered yet, rush and right now, go and register right now. So now next we are moving on to the another topic, that is covering of the lungs. As we all know, covering of the heart is Pericardium, covering of the cartilages is called as the perichondrium. So perichondrium is the outer covering of the cartilage. Pericardium is the outer covering of the heart, and peritoneum. Peritoneum is the outer covering of the peritoneal cavity, or we can say the body cavity. The outer covering of the body cavity or coelom is the peritoneum. So the correct answer here is the pleural membrane, which is called as the covering of the lungs. So yes, my dear students, you can see how these individual questions is actually enhancing your concept as well as giving you a boost for your preparation. So as a result, if you go through these questions, go through it thoroughly, if you appear for this core exam, definitely believe it or not, you are going to get the best result in your NEET exam. So now, next moving on to our next question. The next question is the lub sound. So what is this lub sound? First heart sound. It is caused by which of the things? So the first heart sound is caused by, if we see the structure of human heart, which is made up of 4 chambers, unlike the heart of the frog. Frog's heart is 3-chambered, but human heart is 4-chambered. So right atrium, right ventricle and left ventricle. So we have the 4-chambered heart here. Now in case of the 4-chambered heart, if we see the right atrium and the right ventricle are separated by this valve. There is atrioventricular septum which contains the valve. Now this valve is the tricuspid valve, and between left atria and left ventricle there is the bicuspid valve. Both of these atrioventricular valves prevent the backflow of the blood from the right ventricle into the right atria, or from left ventricle into the left atrium. So this is prevented by the tricuspid and bicuspid atrioventricular valves. Now if we talk about the lub sound, the first heart sound is produced when these atrioventricular valves shut. So that the blood, when the blood is there in the ventricle starts undergoing contraction. Due to this pressure, there is a high chance the blood will backflow into the atria, and to prevent that, atrioventricular valves close. Alright. So when they close, when the atrioventricular valves close, they produce the first heart sound, which is called as the lub sound. So in this case, what could be the answer? In this case, the answer is filling of the ventricle, ventricular contraction, closing of the AV valves, closing of the semilunar valves. So the first heart sound is produced due to the closing of the AV valves. AV stands for atrioventricular valves. So due to the contraction of atrioventricular valves, what happens? Due to the closure of the AV valves, when these AV valves will close down, this will cause the valve or the blood to accumulate in the ventricle, which will now be forced to move towards the aorta to get distributed throughout the body. This is the pumping action of the musculature of the heart. So that is how the heart pumps the blood throughout the body. So this is the closing of the atrioventricular valves. Now we are moving on to the next question. I hope this question is very clear to you all. Now read the following statements and you have to find out few of the options. The first statement is statement 1. Strength of ventricular contraction is increased by the sympathetic division of ANS. Here the word ANS stands for autonomic nervous system. So if we talk about autonomic nervous system, so yes, this is the autonomic nervous system they are talking about. Autonomic nervous system. Strength of ventricular contraction is increased by sympathetic division of ANS. And second statement is cardiac output is increased by catecholamines. Now what are catecholamines? Yes, my dear students, I hope you all are very well aware of this terminology, catecholamines. Now catecholamines means catechol is a group or a ring compound which is associated with the amines. Now group of catechol associated with amines form the catecholamines. Now what is happening here? The cardiac output is increased by catecholamines. Cardiac output, does it increase by catecholamine? And what are the examples of catecholamine? If we see catecholamines, these are examples: epinephrine and norepinephrine. So these are epinephrine or norepinephrine, which are the catecholamines. Now these epinephrine and norepinephrine, does it increase the strength of musculature, contraction of heart? Yes, it can be. During the stress situation of the body, as we all know, during the stressful situation in the body, the catecholamines are released, and these catecholamines from the adrenal gland, after being released, affects the musculature of the heart. So the strength of ventricular contraction is increased by the sympathetic division of ANS. Sympathetic division of autonomic nervous system is activated at the time of stress. For example, anger, fear, or maybe any kind of stress. In all these conditions, autonomic nervous system will be activated, and once the autonomic nervous system is activated, it stimulates the sympathetic nervous system to get active. When the sympathetic system is activated, this epinephrine will be released, and the epinephrine causes the effect on the heart musculature. So cardiac output will be increased due to the excessive contraction or increased contraction, enhanced contraction of the ventricular musculature. So yes, this statement 1, strength of ventricular contraction is increased by the sympathetic division of ANS, will be correct statement. Now coming to the statement 2, the cardiac output is increased by catecholamines. They are one or the other, same things. So as we have seen in catecholamines, epinephrine and norepinephrine, if we see, these are the catecholamines. So yes, epinephrine or norepinephrine, in other words, we can call them adrenaline and noradrenaline. So if they are talking about them, yes, adrenaline and noradrenaline increases the cardiac output. So statement 1 and 2, both we can see here comes to be correct. So our option 1 is the correct answer. In the light of given statements, choose the correct answer if they have asked. So yes, the correct answer is both statement 1 and 2 are correct. So here they are. Now moving on to the next question. And yes, I hope you all are enjoying this class. You all are learning from this class, and we all know that these are the very, very important topics like the circulatory system, the body fluids, the circulation, how the process of circulation takes place in our body. Everything is extremely important, not only from the point of view of score examination, but also it is equally important for NEET examination. Alright, so yes, my dear students, as we are learning and we are understanding the concept, we are understanding the topics, we are further moving on to our next question. The next question is about what is the role of mast cells in allergic reactions. So allergic reaction, first of all, what is an allergic reaction if I ask? Allergic reaction means it is an exaggerated or overrated reaction. The body's immune system sometimes exaggerates the reaction or maybe overreact. We know sometimes call them as they overreact. So when they are exactly overreacting to a stimulus or to a component, that is called as allergy. For example, if a germ comes inside our body, it is very natural to provide antibodies or to protect our bodies by various mechanisms. But what happens in case of allergies? When an antigen or a harmful thing or anything which is not even harmful for our body enters the body, our immune system does not know what to do, and it will overreact. It will produce over secretions. Multiple types of secretions will be overstimulated, over-secreted. That will cause damage to the body's cells itself. It is causing damage to body's own immune cells or maybe body's different organs and body parts. This reaction, this overreaction of body's immune system is called as the allergy. So now when this is the overreaction is present, how are they produced? What is the role of mast cells in it? So what are these mast cells or how is this taking place? For example, we have this as an antigen. So when this antigen enters the body, body's immune cells are present. So one of them is this mast cells. So these mast cells, although mast cells exactly do not look like this, but consider this to be a mast cell. So when an antigen enters here, so suppose this is the antigen, which is attaching to the mast cells. Now the antigen, as a result of which, stimulates the mast cell to produce various types of secretions. Now what are these secretions? These are commonly the heparin, the histamine, the serotonin and the bradykinin. All these types of pharmacologically active substances, these are basically called as pharmacologically active substances. That means these are also called as the biological mediators or cytokines. So various names are given to these components. These are the cytokines or pharmacologically active substances which are coming out of the mast cells. So now when mast cells are releasing these components, when mast cells is secreting these components, what all they are going to do? These are causing the secretion of the histamine. For example, histamine. If there is a mosquito bite or if there is any kind of insect bite in your hand, on any part of your skin, so what happens exactly? You will see a redness, itching, burning sensations over there. That is because of the histamine. Histamine is a very, very potent vasodilator. It dilates the blood vessels, increases the blood flow at the injured part so that maximum blood flow can bring maximum oxygen and nutrients, and the injured part gets over it, gets healed very fast. So that is the reason vasodilation takes place as a result of the histamine release. Now histamine is one of the most important component that is causing the allergic reaction. Definitely histamine is needed for our body, otherwise how will we know the tissue is injured? If the injured tissue is there, histamine is the rescue for the injury. But what happens during the allergic reaction? The problem with allergic reaction is overreaction. Allergy is overreaction. Suppose we needed only few amount, suppose few micrograms of the histamine secretion. Due to this overreaction, due to this allergic reaction, instead of few micrograms, maybe in some 100 grams of histamine will be floating in the whole blood circulatory system. As a result of which, there will be severe consequences. What all consequences are there? It causes irritation, rashes all over the body. Instead of having rashes here and there, one or two, it will be there rashes all over the body, itching, burning, swelling. The body will be heated up, maybe fever is there, maybe some kind of smooth muscle contraction is there, as a result of which there might be vomiting, diarrhea and respiratory distress. So these many things can happen as a result of the secretion of this potent histamine. So the allergic reaction, what is the role of mast cells? Mast cells release chemicals such as histamine, which produces severe allergic reactions, causing severe forms of tissue injury and many other things which we call as the symptoms of allergy. If we talk about the IgE, you have any idea from where the IgE is released? Any idea? Yes, yes, yes. You all are right. So it is the IgE. IgE antibodies, they are produced as a result of, they produce IgE antibodies. By which component the IgE antibodies are coming out? Yes, you are absolutely right, thinking right. Can you just think about it a little bit more? IgE, the lymphocytes are producing these antibodies. So from the lymphocytes, IgE is coming out. So IgE is not a very helpful or not a very friendly antibody. In case of normal viruses or germs, it is the IgM that should enter. So instead of IgM, it is the IgE that is entering our body. So it is IgE which is being produced at the time of allergy, causing severe forms of the allergic reactions. They phagocytize pathogen? Definitely not. It has no role in the phagocytosis of pathogen. Phagocytosis of pathogen, if we talk about, do you have any idea which cells are causing the phagocytosis of the cells? Phagocytosis of the cells are done by the histiocytes or macrophages. So macrophages are the cells causing phagocytosis. and they act as memory cells. Definitely not, definitely not. They are not definitely acting as the memory cells. So the answer for the mast cells reaction is formation of histamine, which produces different types of the activities on the body, especially these all together are called as inflammation. So that is how allergic reactions are seen as the inflammation. All right? Yes. Now moving on to our next topic. For the next topic, we will be coming to ascariasis. Ascaris is a pathogen, a parasitic pathogen which belongs to the phylum Aschelminthus, and it is a very important nematode. So now we are starting with the question of the parasite. It is a chapter human health and disease. Questions are being asked from here. So ascariasis differs from amoebiasis. It's a very good and very important question. Ascariasis differs from amoebiasis. How ascariasis is different from amoebiasis? As we all know, ascaris is the pathogen Ascaris lumbricoides. This is the pathogen Ascaris lumbricoides causing the disease ascariasis. Whereas amoebiasis is caused by the protozoa. This is, on the other hand, is an Aschelminthus, which is an organism which is multicellular as well as well evolved compared to Entamoeba histolytica. Entamoeba histolytica is nothing but a protozoan parasite. It is a protozoan parasite, Entamoeba histolytica. So this is a different organism, Entamoeba histolytica, causing the amoebiasis. This is a protozoa. This is belonging to the animal kingdom, that is Aschelminthus, which is a parasitic organism. Both of them are parasites, but Ascaris lumbricoides, they causes ascariasis, and as a result of ascariasis, what happens? As a result of ascariasis, there will be intestinal disturbances, vomiting, diarrhea will be seen, and ascariasis will be spreading with the process of vectors, or we can call them as the housefly, which transmits them from the fecal matter into the food products. So that is called as the feco-oral process of transmission. So feco-oral process of transmission, as a result of which the contaminated food will be consumed by a person, the intestinal epithelium gets the Ascaris lumbricoides larval stages due to the feco-oral transmission. Larval stages of the Ascaris lumbricoides will be entering their intestine, and as a result of which these larval stages will slowly grow up, will become an adult stage, undergo sexual reproduction, produces the fertilized eggs, and through the fecal matter, these fertilized eggs will be coming out, and finally these fertilized eggs will be again enters the body of a healthy human being by the process of feco-oral transmission. So that is all the overall cycle of Ascaris lumbricoides. But what happens in case of the Entamoeba histolytica? Even Entamoeba histolytica is also an intestinal pathogen, and in this intestinal pathogen also Entamoeba histolytica, this organism, this Entamoeba histolytica organism, what it does? The process of feco-oral transmission happens, and as a result of feco-oral transmission, different types of cyst, because their life cycle does not have a larva or egg stage. They are protozoans. So they have a trophozoite and a cyst stage in their life cycle. So the cysts of the Entamoeba histolytica enters the body. So these cysts of Entamoeba histolytica enters the body of the host, where they undergo the process of rupture, excistation occurs, and as a result of excistation, what happens? As a result of excistation, the trophozoite forms comes out, and trophozoite forms undergoes the further development, undergoes fission and produces the multiple smaller structures, small amoeba-like structures in the intestine. From the intestine, it causes intestinal perforation. It causes intestinal perforation. Intestinal perforation means the intestinal wall will be perforated. They will penetrate through the wall of the intestine and will come into the blood circulation, can spread throughout the body. That is the function of Entamoeba histolytica. Whereas there is no intestinal perforation stage as such seen in case of the Ascaris lumbricoides. So these are the two most important differences. Now let's find out what they are asking about in question. So now in the questions they are asking, Ascariasis is a vector-borne disease while amoebiasis is a food-borne disease. Is that so? Both of them are same. Both of them are food-borne diseases. So this is going to be the incorrect because we have seen how both of them are transmitted. Both of them are food-borne diseases, that is they are fecal-oral transmission. What is the meaning of vector-borne and food-borne? Food-borne means if they are eating some contaminated food, that is causing the disease. What is the meaning of vector-borne? Vector is transmitting the disease. For example, malaria. Malaria is being transmitted by a host. Similarly, some other organisms. So these are vector-borne diseases, but this is not a vector-borne disease, this is a food-borne disease. Ascariasis is caused by a digenetic parasite. So what is a digenetic parasite? Digenetic parasite means the parasite has to live inside two hosts to complete its life cycle. But Entamoeba histolytica is not a digenetic parasite. It needs only human body to complete its life cycle. It does not require any other host to complete its life cycle. So that is why no, Ascariasis is not a digenetic. Even Ascariasis is also not digenetic and Entamoeba histolytica is also not a digenetic. So both of them are monogenetic parasite living their life cycle inside a single host only. Okay. Now, Ascariasis, so this is also incorrect. Ascariasis is caused by a parasite that lives in small intestine, while amoebiasis is caused by a parasite that lives in large intestine. Okay, so that is a very, very important point. That is kind of correct. So what is it? Ascariasis is caused by a parasite that lives in small intestine. Yes, Ascaris lives in the small intestine, whereas amoebiasis caused by a parasite lives in large intestine. So in case of the large intestine, Entamoeba histolytica, so it lives in the large intestine. Yes, it causes the damage to the large intestinal wall and it perforates through the wall and spreads throughout the body. So yes, that can be the correct answer. The fourth option is Ascaris causes blockage of the intestinal passage. Mass of Ascaris clumps together, while amoebiasis causes blockage of lymphatic vessels. It is absolutely incorrect. Amoebiasis does not cause the blockage of the lymphatic vessels. Amoebiasis is not at all associated with the lymphatic vessels. So these first option, second option and fourth option are incorrect. The correct option is third, that Ascariasis is staying. Ascaris, this worm, we can say the Ascaris lives in the small intestine, whereas the amoebiasis worm lives inside the large intestine. So these are the important question we have seen till now. So these are important question and we are preparing for the India's biggest scholarship cum admission test, and you have to score really, really well for this core examination. Now moving on to our next question. A particular type of cell has existed in a person's blood for over a decade. One day it binds to a newly arrived antigen and triggers a rapid and heightened immune response. Which of the following cell types could it be? So a person type of cells has existed in a person's blood for over a decade. So this is a very important statement. A person's type of cell has different type of cell has existed in a person's blood. Fine. One day it binds to a newly arrived antigen and triggers a rapid and heightened immune response. So now which type of cells is this? This type of cell, these are sometimes called as the antigen presenting cells also, and also some of the lymphocytes which can bind with it. Which of the following cell types could it be? A plasma cell or a memory cell or a mast cell or a Paneth cell? Can you tell me what will be the answer? Here what is happening? This is, suppose it is a memory cell. The memory cell is circulating, a type of cell existing in a person's blood for over a decade. Memory cell is existing, memory cell is circulating throughout the circulatory system, throughout the body of the individual person. One day it binds to a newly arrived antigen and triggers a rapid and heightened immune response. So when it binds with an antigen, it will produce a severe form of the response. So can this memory cell bind to a newly arrived antigen? So no, memory cells will bind with the previously encountered antigens only. So this will not be the answer. Next, we are moving on to the mast cells. Can this be mast cell, plasma cell or Paneth cell? Plasma cell and Paneth cells. What are these cells? Paneth cells are specific type of cells present in the intestine. So even they are also useful in the immune system, but these are the Paneth cells which are present in the immune system of the intestine. Plasma cells secrete antibodies. They are specific for antibodies, so they are not going to bind with the antigen, whether it is a new or old. So now we are coming to this question, the mast cells. Now the mast cells, what will be this answer? Now in case of the mast cells are sometimes acting as the antigen presenting cells. Now these antigen presenting cells, or these are also the cells which produce the exaggerated immune response. So these mast cells will bind with this newly arrived antigen and will produce the rapid and heightened immune response, which we call as the allergies. So it is the answer, mast cells which are binding with the antigen to produce the heightened immune response, which we call as the allergy, and it will be the type of cell that is going to be the mast cell. Not plasma, not memory, not Paneth cells, it is the mast cells. Now coming to another question, it is from, we can say, the muscular system of the body. Now the question is, what is true about the white muscle fibers? I hope you all are enjoying the questions. I hope you all are learning from the concepts and the questions, and at the same time preparing for your examination. So the truth about the white muscle fibers: more quantity of myoglobin, abundant mitochondria, high amount of sarcoplasmic reticulum, also called as the aerobic muscles. Now what will be the answer? Now the questions are, more quantity of myoglobin. Myoglobin itself is reddish in color because of the high content of iron. So if myoglobin is higher in amount, so the fibers will also be definitely reddish in color. Since they are white muscle fibers, the more quantity of myoglobin will not be the answer. High amount of sarcoplasmic reticulum, high amount of mitochondria, and also the aerobic muscles. Since they are not having higher amount of these mitochondria, and the amount of mitochondria also detects that higher amount of oxygen utilization to produce the larger amount of ATP. So it is the high amount of the sarcoplasmic reticulum which will be present in the white muscle fibers. A subunit of which protein masks the active binding site for myosin on the actin filaments? Okay, so for that let's draw a diagram. A subunit of which protein masks the active binding of myosin and actin? Which protein masks the active binding site for myosin? So myosin, this is the myosin head. Now the myosin head should bind with the actin molecules like this. So these are the actin molecules, but the actin molecules are kept hidden due to the presence of one protein, which is that protein which hides the surface of actin myosin attachment. If we see here, the actin molecule, these are the actin molecules. Actin molecules can easily bind with the myosin heads just like that if they come in close proximity, but they are kept away from each other with the help of one specific type of protein which masks the binding site of these actin molecules. They mask the actin site molecule binding. As a result of this masking, actin and myosin binding cannot happen. So which protein are these which masks the molecules of actin? It is the troponin. It is the troponin molecule which masks the actin molecule and prevent the binding of troponin, actin and myosin. Okay. So this is another important question from the chapter skeletal muscles or muscular contractions. H zone in a myofibril. Another very important question, H zone in a myofibril. So if this is the muscle fiber, we can say what all things are happening. The part of the dark band in which the thick filaments are not overlapped by thin filaments. So which one is the dark band? Suppose this is a muscle fiber in which there is alternate dark and light arrangement of muscle fibers are present. Dark muscle fibers are nothing but the overlapping. If this is the muscle fiber, we say this is the overlapping of actin and filament, actin and myosin filament. So these are, we can say, these are the overlapped portion producing the dark band. The overlapped portion producing the dark band. The overlapped portion between the actin and myosin, the overlapped portion of actin and myosin produces the dark band. So the part of dark band in which thick filaments are not overlapped by the thin filaments. So this is an incorrect statement. Next, if we see the part of the dark band in which thin filaments are not overlapped by the thick filaments. Thin filaments are not overlapped by the thick filaments. The part of dark band in which the filaments are not overlapped. Again, the part of the light band in which thick filaments are not overlapped by thin filaments, and the part of the dark band in which thin filaments overlap thick filaments. Is it correct? Yes, it is the thin filament overlapping the thick filament. These are the thick filaments. These are being overlapped by the thin filaments. So the part of light band in which thick filaments are not overlapped by the thin filaments. So yes, almost both these statements come out to be correct. Now moving on to our next question, that is statement 1. Smooth muscles are unstriped, involuntary and form bundles called as fascicles, and smooth muscles are found in the alimentary canal, reproductive tract, etc. So smooth muscles are unstriped, involuntary and form bundles called the fascicles. Do they form fascicles? No. Fascicles are structures of skeletal muscle. So yes, this statement is incorrect. And smooth muscles are found in the alimentary canal, reproductive tract, etc. Yes, this is correct. So statement 1 is incorrect and statement 2 is correct. The fourth statement is correct. Now coming to the next part, that is a very important question from Human Health and Disease again. So read the following statements about common diseases. Houseflies act as mechanical carriers and serve to transmit the Plasmodium vivax. Absolutely not. Why? Because Plasmodium vivax is transmitted not by the houseflies. Instead, they are transmitted by which organism? These are Anopheles female mosquito. Filarial worms cause a slowly developing chronic inflammation of the lymphatic vessels. So filarium worms cause a slowly developing chronic inflammation. Yes, it does develop it like that of the lymphatic vessels, correct? Sustained high fever, weakness, stomach pain, constipation, headache, loss of appetite and intestinal perforation are typical symptoms of not ascariasis. This is the typical symptom of typhoid fever, not ascariasis. Ringworms are generally acquired from soil or by using towels, clothes or even the comb of infected individuals. Yes, that is correct. Ringworm infections are caused by fungus which definitely grow because of the usage of some other contaminated, fungal contaminated towels, waters or maybe the moist surfaces of another contaminated individual. So which two of the above statements are correct? As we have seen here, 2 and 4 should be the answer. So the answer is 3. Gametocytes of Plasmodium are produced in the gametocytes. Another question over here is gametocytes of Plasmodium are produced in the. Where are these gametocytes are produced? Gametocytes are the cells which can give rise to gametes, male and female gametes. So gametocytes of Plasmodium are produced by the red blood cell of human body. Red blood cell of man produces the gametocytes. As the gametocytes are the cells which is going to give gametes, they are formed by the RBC of humans. So yes, we have discussed many of the questions that are very important from the point of view of NEET as well as core examination. You must not forget about the test date, that is 28th September and 12th October. Register now if you have not yet registered, and the link is given in the description. SCORE is a national level scholarship examination, as we have seen it before also. This is the best talent search examination in the entire country, and it targets for the grades 3 to 12, conducted by CHaitanya Educational Institutions, and it is present in both offline and online format. So what is our goal? Yes, to provide you the maximum benefit of it so that you get the best of the best, country's best educators for your NEET preparation. So my dear students, if you have not registered it yet, you are supposed to register it as soon as possible, and definitely we are going to give you the maximum benefit for it. So do not delay your registration. Register it now. Different dates are there for examination depending on your city which you are looking for, or wherever you are staying right now. Depending on that, 2 dates are there for the examination. Test date 1 is 28th September and second date is 12th of October. Last date for registration is 26th September and 10th October consecutively. And if you have not registered it yet, yes my dear students, it's time. It's high time that you are supposed to register for it right now. So yes, the duration of the examination we have discussed earlier also. For class 5th, 60 minutes, 7th and 6th, 75 minutes, and for 8th to 11th, it is 120 minutes of duration. So yes, thank you all for listening to us, for staying tuned with us. Yes, you have to register it for now, and all the best for your examination, all the best for your future. Stay with us connected. You can follow us in our various parts of our social media, social platforms. Thank you.